Bro, I've been thinking about installing a stage 2 clutch in my Subaru. You might want to think about upgrading the clutch fork. No, I'll just send it. So what is a clutch fork? What does it do, and why do you want to consider upgrading your clutch fork when you upgrade your clutch? To put it simply, a clutch fork is a device that mounts inside the transmission bell housing and extends to the outside of the transmission. From there, it is activated. The clutch slave cylinder then pushes against the transmission fork, which then pushes the release bearing into the pressure plate, and it then disengages the clutch. So why do you want to upgrade your clutch fork? Well, with aftermarket clutches, the higher spring rate of many of them can be too much pressure or tension for the OEM clutch fork, which in turn can break. It's a well-documented thing all over the internet, and they break in different places. So the next time you have your transmission out to upgrade your clutch, you might want to think about upgrading the clutch fork as well, so you're not having to do it twice down the road. So now we'll get to the unboxing, a little bit of a review, and the install video. Here is the box that contains the part that has been keeping my car down for the better part of the month. First thing I will say is this bad boy here has been on back order for about 3 weeks, I believe. Not sure exactly why, but I was in contact with Verus Engineering the entire time, and I will say about this that communication is on point with this company. It cost me Canadian roughly about $280 after all the shipping and conversion was done. So it's not exactly a cheap part, but I didn't want to be revisiting this, as this part is about 50% stronger than OEM. So in my opinion, it was well worth the wait. So I'll get into the unboxing now. Let's see what we got here. Well, the first thing is the clutch fork. I have to say that it's a lot heavier than I anticipated. I'll just put that to the side. Let's see what else we got in here. Laffy Taffy. That is freaking awesome. Some little instructions here, so be sure to read that later. We got a SubiSpeed thank you for your order. So it looks like it's been packaged by BJ. So I guess SubiSpeed did repackage this. Enter to win a $100 gift card. Too bad that can't be cash. It's a lot of beer. Oh, what's this? More Laffy Taffy, I guess. Yay, I got 2. Do I have any more Laffy Taffy? Oh look, another one. Oh man, I think I'm more excited about the Laffy Taffy. Okay, well, let's get on with the unpackaging. I have to say, this is a pretty heavy duty part. Decals. I could probably use that, put that on my toolbox. So just some more instructions there, and a thank you for purchasing a Verus Engineering product. Here are the 2 clutch forks side by side, and as I noted, the Verus one was actually quite a bit heavier, or heavier than I expected, but comparing the 2 side by side, they're actually, this one is noticeably heavier, but just looking at it, just looking at some of the features and everything, there's quite a few differences that make this thing look a whole lot more heavier. For example, I don't know if you can notice this, but this here on the OEM clutch fork is a little bit rounded, and this, it's nice and square and beefy. You can even see the contact area where it meets the pilot or a throw-up bearing is quite a bit wider. So also in here, there's like a little dip. I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but here there's none. Turning it over, I tried to get the caliper on here to measure stuff. I already swapped over the retainer clip, but everything just looks a lot more beefier, a lot more up to the task and the challenge. Like for example, in here, this is all hollow, versus here, there's quite a bit of metal. I guess you could say there's quite a bit of beef on it, but also the sides here, I'm not sure what to call them, they're also noticeably thicker. Not a whole lot, actually. I took my caliper to it, and it is a little bit thicker, but probably strong enough to make a huge difference. And even this up here, there's quite a bit of difference between the two. Just everything just seems a whole lot more built to handle a higher spring rate. So yeah, this puppy I will be installing, and the next up will be a install video for this. So it's actually not overly complicated, really easy. As you can see, I've already took this out, but for demonstration purposes, I'll actually put that back in, and I'll show you how easy it is. So if you have the factory clutch fork installed, I had to do a bit of prying with my pry bar to get this out, because that was freaking stuck. But if you don't have a broken one, or if it's broken in a different spot, it really is just as easy as reaching in, giving a bit of a tug. Of course, now it won't do it. Could probably even reach in behind and separate the little spring clip, and it is out. And then it is recommended by Varis, if you don't buy the new pivot, to replace that. But basically all you do is you just get your handy dandy impact gun. Make sure you reverse it off instead of on. You don't want to be torquing this thing on. It only requires about 12 foot-pounds, so it's just that easy. Using two hands here, they recommend greasing. Not sure how this is going to work, but recommend greasing this a little bit in here. This is some heavy duty grease that use on big tractor trailers. Greasing a little bit on the front here. This will be making contact with the release bearing, throw out bearing, whatever your preference is. Sure, you could probably use too much, but I'm just putting a light coating on here. Also in here, I'll put a little bit. That's where the clutch slave goes. I'm just kind of filling that divot in there. And then on the inside, I probably should have done that first before installing the spring, but I'll just take that out real quick. Try not to get grease all over everything. Oh well, you know what? Put some in there. Again, just kind of filling that divot. I mean, I got some on this side too, which is where this will sit, so it probably will be just fine. So the next thing you want to do is install this pivot again. Just finger tighten it there. Then get your socket. It's a 19 mil socket. And I'm just going to can't turn it anymore. So basically I'm just grabbing the base or the head of the socket and turning it slightly until it can't turn anymore. I'm not reefing on it with the end. It doesn't need that much torque. Then you bring it over to your desk, your workbench, take this off, just put that to the side, flip this over, give these a little pinch. Doing this through the camera lens so I can make sure it's centered here. Put this one back. Mine's a little bit bent now from tugging on it, but hopefully it'll be okay. So then you just put, you'll see one end is shaped like that. You just put the one end in through this little slot right here. Make sure you put it in the same way it came out. You'll notice in here, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but you'll notice some tiny holes. You just want to basically line up the pins there, you can see it there, with those holes. Doing this with one hand is bit challenging. I just went off camera there for a bit and just put that in. So the next thing is to get your throw-out bearing onto the end of the clutch fork. And as you see, I don't have the style that has the clips on it, so I just have to slide mine on the end, feed it up through the hole there, get some, slide it on to the input shaft, and then carefully line it up to your pivot. Oh, it clicked on already. Okay. And what I did is I just used a bit of Never-Seez around here and just coated it all around, and that should be okay. I didn't want to use the grease in case it slid out and flew around everywhere, but Never-Seez usually doesn't go anywhere. It's pretty awesome stuff. So let's pop that in. It is definitely in there now, so I am freaking laughing now. So there you have the review, comparison, and install video for the Varis Engineering clutch fork. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is this clutch fork is actually listed for being for the 2015 and newer WRX. However, if you go to the Varis Engineering website and on that listing for the clutch fork, you will see a compatibility chart, which lists many other Subaru models that this clutch is compatible with. For example, I have a 2008 WRX 5-speed manual and it fits, as you could see in the clip earlier. It is identical. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll do my best to respond.